Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the grand finale of Live SEO Audit. And today we have a very special guest with us, Jason Moon from Australia. So, yeah. So, today, again, we'll be talking about three websites. So, we have three websites, and Jason has, some views on that, and he'll be adding a lot of value for you guys. So, yeah, I don't want to spend time on introducing Jason because then I'll take a lot of time. So I would like to invite Jason to introduce himself, please.
Sure. Let me just quickly, oops, wrong one. Screen share. I've prepared some slides. Can you see my screen, Nitin?
Yeah, I can see that. But
Okay.
before we move to the actual presentation, maybe you can just talk about yourself,
Yeah,
and then we'll take it. Yeah.
absolutely. Hi guys. My name is Jason. I'm based in Melbourne, Australia. I've been in search for more than 10 years actually, and just recently I've sold my agency to another agency called Overdose Digital, and I'm currently the Search and Insights Director there. What I do is I specialize in e-commerce SEO. That's what I love doing, and that's my bread and butter. If you want to connect with me, I do have a blog which is not very active, jasonman.com, or you can connect with me on Twitter at jasonman or follow me on Facebook. That's me. Should we
All
kick it
right.
off?
Thank you so much, Jason. Yeah, thanks so much for introducing yourself. Well, he's an awesome guy from Aussie, and I'm really looking forward to this episode, which is the grand finale of this series. So yeah, I can't wait to hear Jason's views on these three websites that we'll be talking about. So the three websites that we have picked for this show are firstcry.com, and the next one we have is foryourparty.com, and the third one we have is helloholidays.in. So these are the three websites we have picked, and apologies to others who submitted their websites, but they're not picked. Unfortunately, we had to pick only three websites. So yeah, that's the agenda, and that's the next maximum number of websites we can cover in 1 hour. So apologies about not picking your website if it's not there in this list. All right. So now, before moving to the actual show for which you all are waiting, including myself, so I would like to hear, like, what is the SEO aspect which is exciting you, Jason, these days? Your favorite SEO aspect, I would say.
Yeah, I think the emergence of AMP is very exciting, and the space around JavaScript SEO is also very exciting. It's very new to everyone, including myself. So there's a lot of a huge learning curve for myself in terms of JavaScript SEO, how to get it crawled and indexed properly. So that's a very interesting space at the moment.
All right, cool. So on the same note, we have a conference here in Amsterdam on 13th and 14th of February. That's about AMP. So in case you are around and you want to apply for it, it's invite only conference. So you can register yourself and then be part of it. And
Exciting.
we have DTD conference, which is on 22nd of February. So I'm sure there would be something related to AMP. So if you have not registered yourself till now, I think now is the time. So the URL for that is dtdconference.com. So register yourself and block your time. All right. So now is the time to see or hear some real tips from Jason on these three websites. So Jason, now the time is all yours.
Cool. Thank you. All right. Let me just share my screen again. Okay. So as Nitin introduced, we've sort of picked three sites: firstcry.com, which is an e-commerce store selling baby products; foryourparty.com, it's an e-commerce store selling party supplies, personalized party supplies; and the last website that we picked is Hello Holidays, which is a travel booking website. So we'll kick it off with FirstCry. I sort of kept things really short. I basically left each website with 10 easy, quick wins that they can go ahead and implement and on their own website and start seeing good results, hopefully. Unfortunately, there's very limited time for me to go through in depth every single one of this website. So if there's any follow-up questions, feel free to post it into the chat room, and Nitin will pick it up, and Al can answer those questions as I see fit. All right, firstcry.com. So let's just jump out of this. So firstcry.com. So what I like to do when I first work on a website is I like to fire up SEMrush and put the domain in there just to see how they rank, um, what type of keywords they're ranking for, and how traffic has been progressing on their website. So as you can see, once I put in the domain name here, you see the keyword trending report, and you can see there's a really big dip, and it's been dipping in the last 6 months. Now I'm not too worried about this major dip at the end here in January. That's because SEMrush made a massive update to their database, so they're still correcting that. But in terms of trending wise, they are going downhill. So let's have a look at that. The first thing that I picked up was this is what the site looks like. If you look at the site, it's actually not secure completely. So there are elements within the website that is HTTP, and there are elements of the website which is HTTPS. So by not canonicalizing and migrating the entire site to HTTPS, you do get this issue whereby if someone starts filling any type of form on the page, if you notice there, you see the not secure label. So with the next version of Google Chrome, that label is going to be even more obvious. It's going to be in red. So there's bound to be some sort of usability issues there. So I would highly recommend that you make sure you migrate the entire website into HTTPS. So how you would do that is actually to through and redirect every HTTP version into HTTPS. So there are various checklists out there about how you can do that. So just do a quick Google search. I think Aleda Solis has a HTTP to HTTPS migration checklist. It's really good. So look that up. Um, Next, I actually reviewed the site in mobile, which is fantastic. Uh, So the website is responsive, not responsive, but it's actually being served in a subfolder, an M subfolder. So everything has been set up correctly. The user agent detection, everything's all good. But what you're lacking here is a canonical tag back to the desktop version. So if I were to view page source of this, and then if I search for canonical, that's actually not a canonical tag there. So based on SEO best practices, when you do have a separate M website, whether it's M dot or on a subfolder, you're meant to have a canonical tag pointing back to the desktop version. So that's one thing that I would highly recommend that you do. The next thing that I picked up was internal search result pages, which looks something like this. So it's great that every website has an internal search option there where people can search for, say, nappies. But the internal result pages that it generates tend to be really duplicate content. So depending on the number of these type of landing pages or search result pages that get indexed, you will get issues with thin content and duplicate content, and those are not really good with Google Panda. So this is not a really good example. If I just search something random, it gives me this string here. And then using a simple query to go give me site search in URL search.aspx shows that that's about 592 of these pages being indexed. So what will happen is this. You will see this page is also optimized for educational toys, as you can see, and the title tag is called Buy Educational Toys. And then if you go into the toy section here, there's also an educational toy category page here. So they're actually competing with each other, and Google will get confused as to which page to index and which page to crawl. So in order to reduce the duplicate content signal internally, what you want to do is block the internal search results pages. So anything that has search.aspx, apply a meta robots no index, no follow tag on it, as well as blocking it via robots.txt. Next thing I found is the lack of meta robots tag use. So especially the no index and no follow in that regards in relation to the internal search results pages. There's also wrong canonicalization. So canonical tags is used or are traditionally used to help with internal duplicate content issues. What you find here is if I click on onesies and romper as a category, if you notice the URL here, it's fairly clean, it's short, but if I go look at the source code and I search for canonical, you will notice that this canonical tag is completely different. It is not very clean. It's very lengthy. So I think there's some error on the site, how the platform or the website's been being set up. So technically, by right, the canonical tag should be self-referencing. So the canonical tag should say that URL without the URL parameters instead of that lengthy um, gibberish URL structure that we see in this format here. And also, if you are going to fully HTTPS, you want to make sure that that references HTTPS, a secure version of the page as well. Um, the next thing that I wanted to touch on is URL structures. So just browsing around the website, you'll start noticing. I noticed that the site is actually heavily reliant on URL parameters. So within Google Search Console, there's an option for you to tell Google how to handle these URL parameters. I want to make sure that you guys go in there and actually tell Google what to do. Most of the time, they are defunct. You probably don't need to rely on them. So I would try and block them somehow in Google Search Console and also in robots.txt just to conserve some of the crawl budget that's going around your website. Um, Also, I would highly recommend that you nest URLs and silo your categories properly. So if I go to say baby clothes, if I click on that, you can see it just loads to newborn baby clothes dash dresses. And then if I go to a subcategory, which is tops and tees, that is also on the root. So there's not a relationship between the top category and also the subcategory. What would be a better option is you do a keyword research and then find out what the main target keyword is for baby clothes. It will be baby clothes, and it should be baby clothes / onesies, baby clothes / tops and tees, baby clothes / sweaters. That way, Google can see that you're actually building a big silo, and is really, really good for relevancy and crawlability purposes. Next thing, this is a common issue with e-commerce websites, right? There's lack of content throughout the website, in particular the category and subcategory products. So from Google's perspective, they'll look at this page and go, okay, this page is about tops and tees for babies. The title tag says that, the H1 heading says that, but there's not enough content, introductory content to actually help Google understand further what this page is all about. And having content on these type of landing pages will actually give you a really good boost. So what I would recommend is aim for about 150 words of introductory content right at the top here, just below the H1 heading. So some generic content about why people should buy from you, the type of products that you stock, and use it as elevator pitch to help convince users why they should be buying from you. So what will happen once you have the 150 words of introductory paragraph there, it opens up the opportunity for you to create internal links as well on top of helping Google help Google send relevancy signals. It also opens up the opportunity for internal linking. Um, this is a big one. So structured data. So structured data is fantastic. So it helps Google understand the type of data and the type of products or pages that you have on the website. So based on what I can find, the site is actually set up for schema tags already. So on product pages, that's all been set up accurately with no issues. Just going to quickly show you once this loads. All right, pop that URL there. Now this is the Google Rich Snippets testing tool. It's free. All you need to do is just plop in a URL there, hit run test, and Google will actually tell you what type of structured data has been set up on the website and whether it's been set up correctly. And if there's errors, it will tell you that as well. So while that loads, so as I mentioned, there you go. So this page, the website has been set up for a web page or organization schema data, which is good, schema tags. And then it also it also has a setup for product schema tags, which is fantastic. So which will tell Google that this specific product is this price, and it will help trigger rich snippets when someone searches for the product in Google. So what's lacking on the site that the first cry can potentially leverage as well is structured data for breadcrumbs and organization. So breadcrumbs will, you do have breadcrumbs here. So having these marked up will tell Google that, hey, I've got the breadcrumb element on the website. It also helps Google understand the structure and internal linking of the site. And the organization schema markup will help you trigger this knowledge panel, which is a big real estate on the right-hand side of Google search listings. Now, the next thing that I looked at was, this is because this site is such a big website and it stocks products from different brands and different manufacturers. What they can do is employ a tactic, what we call brand hijacking. Brand hijacking essentially is creating brand landing pages, which this website has at the bottom here. Just quickly scroll down just to show an example. Probably quicker if I go here. So as you can see, they've got brands, a lot of brands that they stock. If I click through to one of them, this is a landing page for this brand Pigeon. So they've done a good job at creating a brand page. But what you can see is there's a lot of images and just links, images again. There's very little textual content. So in order to hijack when people search for pigeon breast pumps or pigeon products or something generic that's related to this brand, you need that textual content to rank. So what I would recommend is that similar to the category content, that these guys add a snippet of content about 150 words about the brand, the history of the brand, the type of products that they stock in textual format, just to help Google understand that in this page is related to Pigeon. And then what you want to do as well is internal link from the product page to the specific brand page. So if I were to click through to a product related to this brand, say this Pigeon baby powder with fragrance, you can see that there's actually no link to the brand landing page at all. If I click read more, there's nothing there. It's just generic information. So what I would highly recommend that these guys do is actually to introduce a logo of the brand, maybe up here or up here, and then that will have an anchor text or sorry, an alt tags about the name for the name of the brand, and then that will be actually an internal link back to this page. So what you would do, what will happen is that an e-commerce website has thousands and thousands of different product pages, and those thousands and thousands of product pages will actually have internal link juice flowing back into these brand pages, and that will help optimize these brand pages for brand hijacking purposes. The next thing I would highly recommend this site look at is the page speed. So page speed is all the rage at the moment. Google is actually putting more weight into the page speed metric now and ranking websites. So it's very important that these guys look at the page speed element of it. So there is a awesome tool called GT Metrics. So as you can see, they just gave the website a score of F from a page speed score perspective and a D here. There's definitely a lot of room for improvement. As you can see, there's a lot of hints and tips and tricks as to what they need to do. So there are a lot of quick wins here, like optimizing images, compressing them, deferring passing of JavaScript, and then the minifying the JavaScript and CSS files, and also enabling browser cache is a big win here. As you can see, if you enable browser caching, you save speed of about 60%, which is huge. So those are the 10 tips that I would recommend that firstcry.com implement to get better rankings and better results in SEO. How am I doing for time, Nitin?
Well, you already taken 12 minutes for it. So
okay, cool.
You can quickly wrap it up and then move to the next website, I believe.
Excellent. Okay, so that's all I have for firstcry.com. Overall, is a pretty good setup. You just have to tidy up the site with these 10 things, and I think you'll start seeing some relatively good results from your SEO SEO perspective. All right, let's move on to the next site, foryourparty.com. Foryourparty.com. This is one of this is my favorite website. It just looks really good. It's well designed, as you can see. Now, this site is built on Drupal, so the branding, the styling, the design, the way it's been set up is very very good. I there's very little things I could fault about this site. Again, using the same methodology, pop in um, the domain in SEMrush just to understand the trending. And you can see it's pretty healthy, it's pretty stagnant, it's pretty plateauing here. And again, I'm not too worried about this dip in January. That's just SEMrush updating their database, and there will be corrections. Um, so for this site, it's different. There's not a lot of technical things that can be implemented that I would recommend this site focus on. It's more what foryourparty.com needs to focus on is actually expanding the website from a on-site and content perspective. So keyword research. All right. So I would highly recommend you use this tool from SEMrush if you don't already. Um, this tool from SEMrush called Keyword Gap Analysis is fantastic. So I just picked some random websites that I think were your direct competitors. And what I did is I did an intersect report. So this keyword gap tool in SEMrush, once you pop in your website and a few other competitors, you can actually see the common um, keywords that all three websites are ranking for and where you stand against those websites. So as you can see here, this personalized ribbon, for example, you're ranking number 12 and favors and flowers ranks number 5 is a fairly decent search volume keyword. So that's an opportunity for you to rethink, hey, should I be focusing on optimizing for that specific keyword? Do I have a product for it? Do I have a category page or landing page that I can use to optimize for that keyword? So that's what I would do at first, just to look at opportunities where you can expand the website. What I did as well is in this report here, a lot of people don't use this feature. So the advanced filters in SEMrush is fantastic. So these are all the keywords that are related to your website. All I did was I just put in a filter to show me keywords that are currently sitting on page 2, which is quick wins, right? Low hanging fruit. So you just apply a filter to say, show me all the keywords that are in position greater than 10 and position less than 21. So what I picked up from here is picked up things like favor bags. So favor bags, you're just ranking at the top of page 2. This keyword has a search volume of 1,900 searches per month, but you don't have a landing page for it. The landing page that's actually ranking for it is actually / bags. So could you potentially create a favor bags category and optimize for this specific keyword? I think you start ranking on page 1 fairly quickly if you do that. And the other opportunities that I found was monochrome um, monochrome napkins as well. So it has a fairly decent search volume when I did this, and it could consider creating a separate landing page to say for personalized monochrome napkins. Um, I spoke about keyword gap tools to get more ideas. So the general idea here is to do your keyword research and find ways of expanding your website laterally by adding more categories and subcategories to the website to target those keywords. Um, so this site is very, very good. I couldn't fault it, but one tip that I would give is your XML sitemap. I would split them up. You already have an XML sitemap on here, and I can see it's not dynamic because you've generated using Screaming Frog, the spider crawler tool. So what I would do is, because you're already doing this manually, I would try and split up your XML sitemaps into 3 distinct separate files, and then link them up using an index file. So the 3 separate files that I would recommend that you split up is a file for all your categories and subcategories pages, and then a file for all your product pages. And the last file is your homepage and CMS or blog pages and stuff like that. So, and then once you have those 3 separate files, if you submit it via Google Search Console, separately, all three separate files, you start unlocking a lot of more information rather than having one single line item in there that tells you the number of pages indexed and the number of pages submitted. You start seeing more granular data broken down by per file that will help you diagnose if there's any indexability issues when you submit those three separate XML sitemaps. The other thing is image optimization. So not from a image alt text perspective, but from a file name perspective. Let me just click through to one of the products. And I go inspect element. And you do have the alt text, which is fantastic. So the alt text is actually the product image, which is best practice. But if you notice the file name is actually 23134.jpg. So what I would highly recommend you do is if you can automate it, I'm sure there's a way to do it in Drupal, where instead of using a generic number.png, you want the name of the product.png instead. So that will help optimize your product images for Google to rank better in Google Images. Similar to the previous website, there's a lot of page speed opportunities to improve the speed of the website. Again, GT metrics comes into play here. As you can see, there's a lot of good tidbits here that you can quickly implement and try and get some page speed savings here. So there's a lot throughout the website. There's a lot of server scale images whereby you're leveraging CSS and code to actually scale, 1,000 pixel image into like a thumbnail format, which is not best practice. So what you want to do is actually upload the image in the right size and resolution, and not leverage code to scale those images. There's also a lot of quick wins around minification, your images as well. As you can see, here are all the lists of images that aren't really optimized. And if you optimize some of these images, you can get up to 62% reduction there for that specific image. So, and you guys are graphic designers, so these are quick wins that you can potentially work on over time. So when I was digging around the index, Google's index, I did a site colon search here, and I said, this is a tip for everyone. I normally do this when I start auditing a website. There's 12,000 pages, and then looks all good, everything has dub 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 in it. But when I do minus dub dub dub, it shows me all the outliers, and this is how I discovered that there are 830 index pages of the old blog, which if you click through, it goes to nowhere. Right, it just loads and loads and it times out. So having these pages in the index just bloats Google's index. These are useless pages. So I would highly recommend that you remove that entire subdomain on there. Now, the quick way to remove this subdomain is to verify it in Google Search Console. And then using the URL removal tool within Google Search Console, you can actually nuke the entire website. And if you still have access to the code, apply the no index, no follow meta robots directive code in the header, and that URL, that all the subdomains, all those 800 plus URLs should be removed in no time. So the site is actually really good. So from a content and blogging perspective, you've got a good amount of content. I think you've got a good editorial calendar going. So what I would highly recommend that you create more linkable assets. You obviously know what you're doing. There's good product images. There's good imagery around. Good branding, good use of fonts. Everything reads really well. I would highly recommend that you think about bigger linkable assets. So things that there's this technique called skyscraper SEO, which is made famous by Brian Dean, which basically means you create long form pieces of content that is really useful, that people constantly, that evergreen, that people constantly refer to. So I just came up with a couple of ideas like party planning guide or wedding planning guide, where it will be a 5,000 word long form interactive type of linkable asset, which has downloadable PDFs and tips and tricks on how you actually plan a party or a wedding. I think people would be very receptive of that type of content. And once you have a content like that, you can actually promote it on Facebook and social on all your social channels. And you guys are graphic designers, so you can actually make it really sexy and linkable. And then what you tend to do is you don't want to go link begging. Once you have an asset like that, people would just you will just attract links because it's so useful. The other thing that I noticed was one of the quick wins that you
Hey,
can
Jason, I'm
implement.
sorry to interrupt
Yes.
you. Sorry for interrupting you, Jason, but
Yep.
yeah, if you're running out of time, so probably you need to move to the final
Yep.
website. Yeah.
No worries.
Right.
So just really quickly, broken link reclamation. When I did a quick look at the link profile, there's a lot of opportunities where there are links pointing to all URLs that you just have to reach out to them and reclaim and get them to update those links. Okay, moving on to the next one, helloholidays.in. Now this site is where am I? Bear with me. This site is a travel website. Again, they've done a good job at organically growing their page, their website. You can see the growth over time, and they, unlike the other two websites, they got a really good bump in January. But if you look, this is how the website looks like. Oops, apologies. So let's just dive straight into it. So the website is in HTTPS, but there's also a non-HTTPS version of the site being indexed. So the canonicalization and the standardization of URLs is not there. So have a look at it. So when I do this, when I remove the HTTPS, it also resolves. There's no redirect, as you can see. So the first thing I would do is try and standardize all your URLs and pages to be HTTPS, because that's what will give you a proper ranking boost. So standardize that by implementing a 301 redirect across the entire website. And another way to minimize the HTTP and HTTPS being indexed and crawled by Google is actually to use absolute URLs. So if you look in the code, all the internal links that's pointing to other pages within the website, they are using relative URLs. So I think that's why Google has picked up a combination of HTTP and HTTPS across the website and is in the index. So once you have absolute URLs where it is HTTPS www.helloholidays.in /popular hotels in India.html, you would mitigate that risk of having both versions crawled and indexed. There are internal 404 errors, which I immediately picked up using the Semrush tool here. You can see there are 4,471 internal broken links, and it's very easy to pick up. So on the home page, if you click on terms and conditions, doesn't look like it has a 404 error, but if you look at there, it's actually serving a 404 error code. So off the back of that, I would fix up those internal 404 errors. Just so use a tool like SEMrush to pick up these errors, or use a tool like Screaming Frog to find out all the internal 404s and just tidy them up. And as you can see, this is actually a 404 page, but it doesn't look like it's a 404 page. So I would create a custom 404 error page to let users know that, hey, this is an error page. If you want to look for something else, here are some options. So that is a quick win right there. Another thing that I picked up was a canonical tag inconsistency. So if I were to click on here, oops. If I go to hotels, for example, no, that's the home page. Okay, as you can see, for this landing page, the canonical tag does not exist, but the canonical tag exists on the tour section of the site. So there's an inconsistency in the way that canonical tags being used on the site. This one's missing too, but yes, canonical tags are visible in some pages and not others. So I would highly recommend that you just standardize the way canonical tags are being used and roll it out across the website. The other thing, when I was auditing the website, I noticed that the site still uses meta keyword tag, which is a tag that used to be supported by all search engines, but it's no longer the case. So I would highly recommend that you just remove it entirely and not use it, as it just helps your competitors understand what keywords that you're actually focusing on, and it just has no use whatsoever. So I would just highly recommend that you just remove this tag in its entirety. Structured data. So schema tags, structured data is the future of the internet, and this website has none. So to give you a good example of how we can use structured data, so Intrepid Travel is a really good travel website, and I have done popped in one of their tour pages onto the Google structured data testing tool. And as you can see, they've marked up almost everything on their website, from breadcrumbs to the products to depart action to the travel agency structured data schema tags related to that. So by doing this, you actually help Google understand what type of data you have, and it helps them to crawl and understand your website a little bit better. And most importantly, it will trigger rich snippets when someone searches for a specific tool or a specific product that you have on offer. So that's what I would recommend from a technical perspective. Now, taking a step back, moving back to the SEO 101 stuff. So similar to the previous website, I would highly recommend that you do some keyword research on the site. For you, I would highly recommend that you have a play around with the keyword magic tool. So just taking your hotel section, for example, what I did was I used this tool. I just popped in hotels in, and I did a phrase match. And once you start understanding what type of keywords have decent search volumes, you can then start building out and optimizing your pages. So if I look at your hotel section, you haven't done your due diligence and your SEO 101 things. So this page has cheap, budget, and luxury hotel bookings, where it should actually be optimizing for hotels in India. And the H1 heading should be hotels in India. So everything is synergized. And we do click through to things like there was one really good one, like hotels in Mumbai. So if you look at the keyword here, hotels in Mumbai, it has 49,500 searches per month. Very, very popular. So what you've done here is great. You've optimized your title tag, your main descriptions, but there's no H1 heading here that says page is related to hotels in Mumbai. So I would recommend that you add a H1 heading here that says hotel in Mumbai. And then on top of that, I will add a short paragraph of content here, about 150 words, about why people should visit Mumbai, why they should be picking you guys to book their next travel plans and book hotels from you. Um, so by applying these SEO 101 tactics, it's just going to help Google understand the relationship or relevancy of all of your pages to a specific keyword, and that is going to give you a really good boost from a rankings and search engine visibility perspective. Um, that's all I have for all three websites. I do have this deck ready to go that I can share out. Now I'm open for questions, Nitin.
Thank you so much, Jason. That was interesting. That was very, very interesting indeed. So everything you shared was very clear. I think, I mean, everyone can easily understand. There were a lot of things. I mean, I think fortunately, the sites we picked, they had a lot of different things that we can fix. So
Yeah.
in general, I found it really, really interesting. And I think all the people in the comments are talking about the website here, auditing. So they found it really interesting and really useful. So thank you so much for sharing all those amazing inputs, Jason. I think a lot of
Mm.
people are happy about it and they learned a lot of new things today in this grand finale. All right.
Cool.
So, and you managed your time well for a change.
Fantastic.
Yeah, good stuff, man. All right. So moving to the questions. So the first question we have is from the 10 stock broker. The question is about rich snippets. So star ratings has stopped showing on Google results since a month. What could be the reason and how can I get it back?
Okay.
Yeah.
So first thing I would do is using the Google Rich Snippet tool, as I showed before. Pop in the URL that you actually trying to work it out on. Just make sure there's no errors. And also sometimes you have to look at what Google is doing for that vertical that you're playing in. I think you mentioned they're a financial planning website, is it, Nitin?
No, no, I didn't mention anything. Even yeah, so there's no mention about the website domain at
Okay.
all. Yeah,
Okay, so it really depends on the vertical. Sometimes Google would just decide to not show rich snippets for an entire vertical. Like the recipes, for example, there was a time when people were just abusing the recipes rich snippets, and Google just decide to, take it all down and try and rejig things with the algorithm. So it really depends on whether you have errors. If you do have errors, fix them up. As long as it verifies correctly, you should be okay.
yeah. And in case you have specific URLs where you are seeing this schema and which is not showing up anymore, so you can reach out to me or Jason on Twitter or LinkedIn, and we'll be more than happy to help you guys.
Absolutely.
All right. So thanks for answering that, Jason. And moving to the next question, which is from Swift Process, which is our regular visitor for our shows. So the question is, can I use keywords in image file names? Will that help my SEO?
Yes and no. You have to use it in the context of the image and what the image is being used on the page. So, for example, if I'm using Nitin's headshot on my website and I rename the file SEO expert, um, dash jason.mun, that's probably not that relevant. But if it's SEO expert dash Nitin and that page has a profile of Nitin and a short bio about him, then yes, fantastic. But if you're using it just to stuff keywords, like SEO expert, SEO in Germany, then that's probably a little bit too manipulative. So don't forget, the image alt text is meant to help people with disabilities, people who are using screen readers, understand the context of the image on the page. So you don't want to be too spammy. Be descriptive, but not too spammy.
All right. Thank you so much, Jason, for answering that. And next question. So there are a lot of questions about schema, feature snippets, because you said schema is the future of web, right? So
It is the
people
future.
are started asking questions about that. And the next question is about feature snippets from Brispati Infotech. So the question is, how do we appear in featured snippets?
Okay, so featured snippets and schema tags are two different things. So in order to get featured snippets, you need to understand, do your keyword research and find out what actually triggers a featured snippet feature box. So SEMrush has a really awesome feature. So you just put in any domain, it actually tells you how many featured snippets that this a specific website has. And you look at the queries. Most of the time, it'll be how to do something, how to fix something. It'll be how to queries, or sometimes it'll be answering a question, right? So, in order to get a featured snippet, you need to, number one, firstly rank on the page one of Google. And then from there, it's all about how you structure your content using the right H1 heading, using bulleted list, unordered or ordered list, and then having the right short and punchy answers to the specific question. That's how you will get a feature snippet. And it also has to be popular. You need to have traffic and people linking to it in order to trigger a feature snippet.
Cool. Thank you so much, Jason. And on this feature snippet note, I had a very interesting URL like article from Eric, which I have just tweeted. So in case you're interested, you can check my Twitter account, the latest tweet, and it has an article link, so you can take a look at it. All right.
Fantastic.
So moving to the next question, which is from Bugyal, and the question is: will the exact keywords matter with NLP coming now?
Uh, if I understand that that question correctly, so you don't actually need to worry about that specific keyword anymore. So Google, since the RankBrain algorithm or the RankBrain ecosystem has been rolled out, Google understands the intent of each query. So you don't actually need to be focused and laser-like focused on a specific query or a keyword anymore. So if you need to use a synonym or something different to explain your point on your web page, feel free to do so. So yeah, to answer that question, no, not quite. Be as natural as possible.
All right, cool. Thank you so much, Jason. I mean, yeah, I would have exactly the same answer, no wording change at all. So,
Mm.
all right, thank you so much for answering that. And the next question we have is from Gaurav Joshi. And the question is: my website runs on secure version, HTTPS. but blog runs on HTTP. Should the blog be migrated to HTTPS as well?
Yes, I would 100%. Just simply because Google has said that HTTP and HTTPS, if there's two websites competing for the same query, that HTTPS would be the deal breaker, or it will determine which website ranks first. So if that version has HTTPS and this version doesn't, this version is going to outrank the other website. And plus, don't forget, when you have a blog, you probably want to you have a lead capture form or EDM capture form. And having any type of forms on there, if you don't have HTTPS, it's just going to trigger that not secure label, and it's just not good for your website.
Cool. Thank you so much, Jason, for answering that as well. And next question we have is from Brispati Infotech again, and the question is: we have implemented star schema. Please, can you check it and help us implement it correctly? So they have also shared a URL. So in this case, I would request Brispati Infotech to contact me or Jason directly on Twitter, and we can have a look at this URL that you shared, Hire Magento Developer. So, and then we can suggest you how you go about it. Yeah. And yeah. All right. And the next question we have is from Ravi Sharma. And the question is HTTP or HTTPS? What do you suggest for the websites which are serving only information pages and contact us forms?
HTTPS all the way. Just simply because it's a ranking factor, and if you have a contact us form, that is a form. So when someone triggers that form or fills in a form, you're just going to trigger their not secure label. So you don't want people to think that, oh no, I'm on a dodgy website, I'm not going to fill in that form anymore because the not secure label is so prominent. So no, definitely HTTPS all the way.
All right, cool. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was no-brainer, definitely. And then the next question we have is from Satish Alumalu. The question is, how important is anchor text in SEO now, and how many anchor tags should be there in one article?
Okay, how many is not the right way of thinking about it. It's how natural. So anchor text is important, but if I understand that question correctly, you're talking about external links coming to the website. So no, so exact match anchor text is sort of dead now. So what people are looking for, and Google is looking for, is actually the branding factor. So if you analyze any of your competitor websites on why they're ranking so well, if you look at their link profiles, 9 out of 10 times is because it's very brand skewed. There's not much like, women's dresses anchor text links anymore. It's all about the brand and the brand and the brand. So don't get caught up with the number of anchor text links, but build that brand. Focus on building that brand.
All right.
Thank you. Right content,
Yeah, and I think this question was about anchor text in general. So this person didn't mention about external links or internal links. So probably he's talking about internal links as well. I think in that case also, if you make it natural, that makes more sense than to make it look like super artificial and like keyword stuffing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right. So the next question we have is from Burkyal again. And the question is about, so this person has mentioned about analytics and some MP, etc. count. So basically, I think this person wants to understand like what all metrics one should keep an eye on when this person is talking about or optimizing site page speed. So what do you think about that, Jason?
Okay. So optimizing for site speed. So GTmetrix is actually a really good website, a really good tool, because what it does is it keeps a record of every time you make a request from them or run a test on them. So every time you've done, you do the test first time, and then you go and implement stuff. You compress your images, you minify your pages and stuff like that. You can actually rerun the same report again to compare the new crawl versus the old crawl, and it will actually tell you whether you've improved or not. But in terms of measuring that in Google Analytics, there's also a page speed report in Google Analytics. I can't really remember. I think it's under the behavioral drop down in Google Analytics, where it will tell you whether it has improved or not.
All right, cool. Thank you so much, Jason. So now we have another question which is related to the first one. Brispati Infotech asked. So this question is about. This question is basically Like, how do you distribute your anchor text? So how do you decide anchor text distribution is the exact wordings?
I haven't had to worry about anchor text distribution for more than 5 years now. So again, don't get caught up by anchor text distribution. But if you are analyzing your link profile, and if your link profile, any link profile tool that you use, link analysis tool that you use, they will have a anchor text report. And if your top 10 anchor text links are your commercial keywords or your exact match anchor text, then I think you might be in trouble. So what I tend to look at when I analyze websites is, in the top 10, does it have the brand name? Does it have the brand URL? Does it have mixed branded anchors? So it could be, brand plus generic keyword, for example, as the anchor text, rather than pure anchor text links. So that's to the extent about anchor text distribution.
Okay, thank you so much, Jason. So, well, moving to the last question of the day, which is this person, Digitent Official, is asking, checking keywords positions on keyword every week will lead to fluctuations. And what is the better time gap to check the rankings?
Yeah, there's no best practice as to how often you should check your rankings. Now, SEMrush does daily checks. Um, I have done daily checks, weekly checks, and monthly checks before as well, and you will see fluctuation. So I wouldn't worry about, if a position is jumping 2 to 3 spots. On Monday it's position 3, on Tuesday it's position 2, and then goes back to position 3, and then sometimes to position 1. That's just personalization. Google's just adjusting the algorithm on the fly. But what I would look at is major dips and declines. So if you were on page 1 today and tomorrow you're on page 3 and you stay on page 3, that's where I would start looking into why and start doing a deeper audit as to what occurred.
Cool. Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you so much for answering all these questions. We have some more questions coming, but I think time won't allow us to take more questions. So, guys, if you have more questions, feel free to reach out to me or Jason. You know our Twitter handles already. If not, mine is @_netman. And Jason's Twitter handle is.
At Jason Mun, MUN.
All right. So you can reach out to us with the questions, and we'll be more than happy to answer questions. And you can also, I mean, if you are not a Twitter person but you prefer LinkedIn, so you can reach out to me at LinkedIn as well. I want mine answering there as well because I'm kind of active. Yeah. All right. So I think that's it from us for today for this grand finale. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, for hearing us, and for asking such amazing questions and checking Jason's knowledge on different topics. So thank you so much for answering all the questions, Jason, once again. And guys, before we say goodbye to you, I would like to hear like one key takeaway from Jason for the day. Yeah, Jason.
Yeah, I would like to just say thank you to Nitin for hosting this session. It's been fantastic, and thanks to SEMrush for having me in this final webinar. It's been fantastic. It's been awesome. So one key takeaway I would give to everyone is, um, just don't look for shortcuts. There's no shortcuts in SEO. Stick to your guns, work hard, build up a strong foundation, and you will reap the rewards. So don't get sucked into people, giving you guarantees for $5 a month that they can boost your rankings and give you results overnight. Don't trust those guys. There's no shortcuts in SEO. You have to work hard, put in the work, and you'll see the rewards in times to come.
Thank you so much for saying that, Jason. Yes, well, even recently I have heard some people, crying about this thing that they trusted someone on Fiverr for getting a lot of backlinks and stuff for $5, the same shit, and they were crying about it. Like their graph was like it was moving like this, and they were not happy. They wanted to see exponential growth, but then it was,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
it happens. So don't trust on such solutions, guys. Trust your mind. Just keep reading interesting stuff on the internet, and then keep trying stuff. But there are a lot of things happening in SEO all the time. So
All the
yeah,
time.
keep your eyes and brain open all the time and
Oh,
keep
there's one
experimenting
more thing
stuff.
I want to leave the guys. So Google Search Console has started to roll out the new beta version, and it is fantastic. So make sure you check your emails, check your Google Search Console accounts for messages. Have a play around with it. Is very, very good. You get 16 months worth of search analytics data, which is fantastic. And you get really detailed indexation reports as well. So that's my tip.
Yeah, definitely. I would also recommend that. That's amazing. That's super beautiful and useful as well. Like especially the 16 months data instead of just 3 months. It's amazing. Really useful.
Amazing.
Really useful.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So that's it from us. And so we have a conference, online conference, DTD conference. And if you have not registered for it, so I think right now is the time. Go register for it. The URL once again is dtdconference.com, and it's a free registration, and it's an online event, so you can watch it from wherever you are. All right, thank you so much once again. And this was the grand finale. I hope you enjoy the show and the series. So if you have any comments, feedback, so you can share with SEMrush or Twitter or LinkedIn, or you can share with me and I'll pass it to them. So thank you so much once again and have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.